A Moment with Dr. Audreyann Moses.
R&B, classic hits, gospel, southern soul, and jazz. What do they all have in common? I can tell you. Emerald City Radio. Tune in to Emerald City Radio at www.emeraldcityradio.com.
Hello, this is Dr. Audreyann Moses, and this is Dr. Audreyann's Moments. Welcome. I'm so happy to talk to you today. And today we are going to talk about something that I had to learn. And it is called In the Eyes of the Beholder. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this book. Listen Linda presents The Women of the Waiting Room devotional. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this book later, but the story I'm going to read you, really it's not a story, it's an account of an event that happened to me. I wrote this story and I'm going to read it to you. Devotional, I'm sorry. It says, I have been often wondered what it means when we say in the eyes of the beholder. Whose eyes are doing the beholding? I often wonder which was more important, someone beholding me or me beholding them. And where does the beholding myself come into play? For those who might not be sure of the definition, beholding, it means to look favorably upon or to gaze upon. So we're not talking about that fine gentleman that just walked by while you was at the fruit stand. We're not talking about that young lady that's standing next to you in the bank. We're actually talking about beholding yourself, looking at yourself. But the actual word means beholding anything, and how you see it. Is it beautiful? Is it ugly? Is it worthwhile? Is it whatever? Now, Jesus says we should love our neighbors as ourselves. And we are going to read that text. The text is Matthew 22:69. And Matthew 22:39. And I'm just going to read it for you. This is the New King James Version. I pulled up the other text, but I didn't pull up this one. So while I'm looking for it, you can reach for your Bibles and turn to Matthew 22:39. And Matthew 22:39 says, it starts out saying, love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and with all your mind. Now, if you remember the story, this is the story when the young rich man was asking Jesus, what does he have to do to be saved? And he keeps the commandments and he minds his mama and he does all those things. And so now Jesus is telling them what he really has to do. And it says that this is the first and great commandment. So the first and great commandment is to love God with your heart, your soul, and all of your mind. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Now, how can you love your neighbor if you don't love yourself? So Jesus is saying this is part of the commandment too. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. So love God and love your neighbor and love yourself. So this means we would have to behold ourselves favorably, meaning we must first love ourselves. Otherwise, how can we possibly love anybody else? How can we? We have often found ourselves saying, we have heard others say, I wish I looked like him or her. I wish that shirt looked better on me. Does it make me look fat? Does it make me look thin? Am I too ugly? Whatever. Why can't I sing? Why can't I dance? Why can't I play the piano or paint like somebody else? When we say those things, what we're really saying is, I hate me. I hate my whatever. That's what we're saying, because we are not giving ourselves credit. We are basically discrediting what God has given us because we don't believe that we're worthy. And yes, boys and men do have the same issues. So gentlemen out there, old and young, yes, men have the same issues. Remember what it was like to look in the mirror and dislike what you saw. Every single human that has ever been born or ever will be born has looked in the mirror at one time or another and said, ugh, what is that standing there staring at me? Yes, for whatever reason. So we have had to deal with that. I remember criticizing my fat bow legs, my features, or my hair, trying to see to no avail what others saw when they said I was cute. I did not know anything about psychology implications of self-image. Although I knew about being made in God's image, it did not help me to understand I was continually lowering my own ability to love myself by being so critical of myself. I remember someone telling me they noticed it was hard for me to accept a compliment. They were right when I thought about it because I did not see the qualities others saw in me. Since then, with much coaching, I've come to see just how much of an obstacle self-criticism can be. If teenagers do not learn to appreciate their bodies, abilities, and accomplishments, they are likely to develop issues of self-criticism into adulthood. God says he created us in his own image. And that's Genesis 1:22, and I'm going to read that in just a second. Most of us believe God is beautiful, kind, and loving, and he loves us unconditionally. However, we don't see it, we don't use it to see beauty in ourselves. So if you remember the creation story, God made the sun, God made the moon and the birds and the trees and the everything. And because of that, at the end, he always said, this is good. Well, listen to what he said at the end. If we listen to, if we look at verse 27, it says, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So now, if God created us in his image, then does he think he's inadequate? So he made us inadequate? Does he think he's ugly? So he made us ugly? Does he think he's dumb? So he made us dumb? It says that he made us in his own image. He made us to be like him, to look like him, so if he did, I'm sure he doesn't think about himself in those bad ways. So why should we? We should not. And so it goes on to say, if we go down to verse 31, it said, God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And then it was evening and morning on the sixth day. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. We're going to read this at the end again, but I just want to make sure you see that it says it was very good. You were very good. I was very good. We were all everything is very good that God made. So don't down yourself saying that you are not good, because you are. It says, again, I'm going to read. Most of us believe God is beautiful, kind, and loving, and he loves us unconditionally. However, we don't use it to see beauty in ourselves. We spend a lot of money and time trying to remake ourselves into our image or into image of someone else, what we think we should look like or be like. For instance, a woman who cannot accept God's creative blueprint for her body will have difficulty accepting the honest love and admiration of the man God sent for her. How many of you can sit back honestly and say, oh, I did that? I'm sure you can. Yeah, I did that. Because the man is trying to tell you how much he loves you. The man is trying to tell you how beautiful you are. The man is trying to tell you how you're a great cook, and you are discrediting everything that he says. The man that God sent you. Now the one over there, Smokey Joe, he's talking bad about you. He's telling you you're ugly. He's telling you, why don't you comb your hair? You look terrible in those clothes. You're fat, you're thin, and you believe him. He's not the guy. Satan sent him to you, not God. But the man that God sent you, the one to love you and to nurture you, you don't believe him. And this goes for women and men, not just only women discrediting the man. Men discredit the women, the woman that God sent him as well. They do the same thing. But we should not do that. We shouldn't. If he tells her she is beautiful, she will assume he's lying or blind. If a man does not have faith, now this is for the men. If the man does not have faith in his own accomplishments and abilities, why should he believe it when friends and family tell him he is a good husband, dad, deacon, piano player, auto mechanic, or whatever? Men go through the same thing. Men will because somebody in their past told them they were not going to amount to anything. Because somebody in their past called them, a hoodlum. Because somebody in their past told them they were not smart enough to do whatever it is they really wanted to do or to learn in school. They just discredited their entire life. And so when people are telling them the opposite, when people are telling them they are a good person, that they're a good man, they have a hard time believing that because they don't see it in themselves, because they have allowed themselves to believe the lie. So we both, men and women, have to deal with that. People, men and women, who are self-defecating are rarely able to receive the gift of a sincere compliment, the honest love of others, and the unconditional love of God. We constantly limit relationships with others because we worry about how others see us. Because we behold ourselves so critically and harshly, we cannot rationalize how someone else can see our beauty, not even God. We don't realize we are providing ammunition for others to treat us as inadequate and unattractive. Basically, they are treating us the way we treat ourselves, and they are treating us the way Satan wants us to be treated. You know, the Bible says Satan's job is to kill, steal, and destroy. That's Satan's job, and he does his job well. He is on his job, and part of the way he does that is to get into our heads and get us to believe that we are inadequate, that we are not made in God's image, that we are not smart enough, that we are not pretty enough, that we are not we're not adequate. And if we believe that, then he has us in his clutches where he can get us to do anything he wants. You know, I lived in Norfolk, Virginia for almost 20 years. And one of the things I learned there was that the easiest way for your child to become a gang member is to ignore them and to tell them that they are worthless, they are not worthwhile, that they can't do, that they are not, that, you know, they are bad. Because what happens is when they go out, the gang members tell them the exact opposite. Well, yeah, we need you because you're a good person and you know how to do such and such a thing, and that's what we need. We need you. And they love on them. And they get them to feel that they are adequate in their community, but they don't feel adequate in the world. And because of that, they end up in gangs and they end up living the wrong life instead of the right life. So think about that when you're talking to your children, especially your boys, you know, and we do have a big problem with black boys and Hispanic boys in gangs, but it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter the nationality or the race. It's because boys are sensitive, but they won't say they are. You know, men are sensitive, they just won't say it. And part of that sensitivity is that they always feel that people don't care about them like they should. People don't respect them the way they should, but they take that inward. You know, one time when we were talking before, I was talking about innate. They pull it into them, and they feel that because they feel this way because someone has told them that they are not able. They just assume the whole world thinks that way of them, and they begin to think that way of them, and we shouldn't do that. When we were created, on the day we were born, and every day we wake up, God says she is good or he is good. If we allow God to live in our spirits, we will begin to see good, more good and beauty in ourselves. So now remember that verse, Genesis 1:31. Every day I want you to get up and read that verse to yourself. And this is what I want you to say. I want you to say, God saw all that he had made and it was very good. Then I want you to read it again. God saw Audreyann. Now I'm Audreyann, but you are Jane or John. So God saw Jane, or God saw John, that he had made, and John or Jane was very good. Very good. Say that to yourself every single day. Every day. That God made you, and God says that you are very good. Okay? And get yourself a piece of paper. You know, I like telling you to make a list. So make a list, you know, draw your line down the paper. On one side, write down all the things that you think are wrong about you. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Write everything down that you think is wrong. And then on the other side, write down everything that you know is right. And don't just put, you know, one or two things. I want you to be completely selfish. Don't be modest. Be complete. I want you to write everything that you know is good about you, whether other people say it's good or not. I guarantee you the good side is going to be longer than the bad side. But one thing that you will be able to do is whatever's on the not so good, we shouldn't say bad, the not so good side, you can fix. You can fix it. And things that are on the good side, you can make them better. And you do that for yourself, not for your mama or your daddy or your grandma or your auntie M or nobody. You know, the boss man, it doesn't matter. You're doing this for yourself, to make yourself, and teach your children to do it. Teach your children that they are very good. You know, that God made them and they are very good. And so that they will grow up having great self-esteem and the ability to be able to accomplish the things that they want to be able to accomplish and the things that God put them on this earth to do. Most of all, you will be surprised to know they love you. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the part. If we allow God to live in our spirits, we will begin to see how good and beauty, the good and beauty that is in ourselves. Ask your spouse, your children, your boss, and your friends what they see in you. You will be surprised to know they love you just because of you. They love you just because you are kind and generous and a talented person. Most of all, they love you because you are beautiful inside and out. I tried it and it works. And it helped me to build my self-esteem. And so I'm telling you this because I know what it feels like to feel inadequate. I know what it sounds like to have somebody telling you that you're not good enough. I know what that's like, but I also know what it's like to overcome that and realize that I am beautiful and that I am adequate and that I am worth it. And that I am a child of God and that God loves me. As we begin this new day, remember to behold yourself and to see the image of God in yourself. Having the glory of God and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. Revelation 21:11. You are that precious stone. So, you know, we're talking about these stones. This is heaven we're talking about. And we know that heaven is beautiful. And so are you, because you are the precious stone. So now let's read again Genesis 1:31. God saw you that he had made, and you was very good. Thank you very much. You be blessed, and remember, you are very good. I wanted to let you know where this story is. I was a part of a community of authors. We wrote 2 books. One is called, this one is a devotional, and it has 30 plus other devotions in it by women. And they are awesome devotions. So I'm just going to tell you the name of it. It's called Listen, Linda Presents. The Women of the Waiting Room, Surgery for Your Soul Devotional. It's published by Pay Pro V Publishing. And you can get it on Amazon. You can get it in paperback or Kindle. But you can also get it from me. And all my other books, on my website. The other companion to this is the Women of the Waiting Room Anthology. It's Women of the Waiting Room, Surgery for Your Soul Anthology. In that book, there's only 7 authors, myself included. I'm also in this one. But the 7 authors, the book we wrote, we had to, on purpose, be extremely vulnerable about something that happened in our life. And it is a phenomenal book. Both of these books will feed your soul. And so you want to get these books. You want to have them for yourself, and you want to have them for gifts for men and women can read both of these books.
Tune in to the Quartet Show every Sunday at 8 p.m. with the Godfather Quartet, Brother Corey Johnson, on WCTL Channel 20. Come on and get you some of that good old hand-clapping, foot-stomping music. Again, that's the Quartet Show with the Godfather Quartet, Brother Corey Johnson.
And you can find them on my website at transitionlifecoachforyou.com, and it's the number 4, the letter U, and just go to order books and you can find both of these books there and some of my other books that would be great Christmas presents. So take care. I love you and thank you for listening to The Eye of the Beholder. You have a great day.
I'm Mac Hardy. Come on down to McCormick Tire and Oil. We open Tuesday through Saturday from 7:30 to 5. And we specialize in oil, tires, and brakes, wheelbarrows, CB axles. And but military discount is every day. And on Wednesday we have Senior Citizen Day. So come on down to McCormick Tire and Oil. We got everything you need. Thanks.
Tune in to the Quartet Show every Sunday at 8 p.m. with the Godfather Quartet, Brother Corey Johnson, on WCTL Channel 20. Come on and get you some of that good old hand-clapping, foot-stomping music. Again, that's the Quartet Show with the Godfather Quartet, Brother Corey Johnson.
I'm Mac Hardy. Come on down to McCormick Tire and Oil. We open Tuesday through Saturday from 7:30 to 5. And we specialize in oil, tires, and brakes, wheelbarrows, CB axles. And but military discount is every day. And on Wednesday we have Senior Citizen Day. So come on down to McCormick Tire and Oil. We got everything you need. Thanks.